10 things to know before buying the 2022 Toyota Sequoia TRD Pro. Being the last model year of the second generation of the Toyota Sequoia, the TRD Pro trim carries forward unchanged, apart from the addition of a couple of new color palettes. The 5.7-liter naturally aspirated V8 motor remains unchanged, and the excellent 4WD system and the other drivetrain hardware that make the Sequoia TRD Pro a force to reckon with on the off-road terrains are still on board of this 2022 iteration. Offered for a base MSRP of $64,625, the 2022 Toyota Sequoia TRD Pro is also going to be an excellent full-size SUV of the segment if you value the cabin space and the safety tech it has to offer. It gets quite a lot of features as standard, too. However, some of our gripes of the older model years like poor gas mileage, jittery ride quality, etc. come unchanged. Competing with the Chevrolet Tahoe Z71 and the GMC Yukon AT4, here are 10 things you need to know before buying the 2022 Toyota Sequoia TRD Pro. 10. Punchy V8 motor. The 5.7-liter naturally aspirated V8 motor putting out 381 horsepower and 401 pound-feet of torque comes unchanged in this 2022 iteration of the Sequoia TRD Pro. The 6-speed torque converter automatic transmission and the 4WD drivetrain come as standard. Overall, we found the powertrain to be excellent, with more than adequate acceleration and decent towing capacity. The initial performance is superior to many of the segment rivals, like the Chevrolet Tahoe Z71 and the GMC Yukon AT4. The mid-range torque also helps the car to perform quite well on the highways. The transmission offers smooth and reasonably fast gearshifts, and there is manual mode too. This full-size off-road ready SUV could do 0 to 60 miles per hour in 6.6 seconds and has a maximum towing capacity of 7,000 pounds. 9. Quite a spacious 3-row SUV. Being a 7-seater SUV, the Sequoia TRD Pro is also going to do lots of family duties as well. Even though it is made for conquering the mighty off-road terrains, the superb interior room on offer is still one of the biggest USPs of this SUV. With the massive exterior dimensions, the Sequoia TRD Pro offered the best-in-class wheelbase of 122, making it quite spacious. The front row and second row passengers are going to be pretty happy with the sufficient headroom and legroom on offer. The cabin is quite wide and airy too. The seats are well padded and there is more than enough under-thigh and lower back support on offer. The only gripe we have is regarding the third row headroom, which restricts it to the taller folks. 8. Loaded with safety tech. Like the outgoing 2021 model of the Toyota Sequoia TRD Pro, the 2022 version also comes loaded with all the bells and whistles you could think of in terms of safety and driver assistance tech. All the basic safety features like ABS with EBD, driveline traction control, stability control, side impact beams, airbags, and many more are standard. All the driver assistance features like forward collision warning, automated emergency braking, lane departure warning, lane keeping assist, adaptive cruise control, etc. are standard too. With tough build quality on offer, this SUV feels quite safe while on the open roads. However, the NHTSA and IIHS crash tests haven't been conducted yet. 7. Unmatched reliability. Since this is a Toyota, the reliability is one area in which the 2022 Toyota Sequoia TRD Pro completely aces, especially when compared to the rivals from the United States. We are also happy to report that Toyota still provides this SUV with 2 years of complimentary scheduled maintenance, which is missed out on by all the rivals. The excellent reliability showcased by the 2022 Toyota Sequoia TRD Pro can be verified by the overall consumer rating of 78 out of 100 provided by J.D. Power, with the best-in-class score of 81 for the quality and reliability section. Even though the rivals did slightly better in the overall consumer rating, none could match the Sequoia TRD Pro in the quality and reliability section. Consumer Reports also mentioned Sequoia as one of the most reliable SUVs currently on sale in the United States. 6. Bargain basement interior bits. Even though we were quite happy with the space this SUV had to offer, the interior quality is one area that bogged down our expectations. Ever since the initial launch of the second generation of the Sequoia back in 2007, The interior quality has been quite mediocre, and being part of the same generation, the 2022 Sequoia TRD Pro is equally bad in this regard. The dashboard and door cards consist of hard and scratchy plastic, something you'd expect from a car that costs around $20,000. Being quite a lot expensive and competing with luxurious rivals like the Ford Expedition Limited and the GMC Yukon AT4, the Sequoia TRD Pro should be off your list if you crave for ultimate luxury for the price. Even though there is leather upholstery and a few other nice bits in the cabin, overall we found it to be a huge disappointment. 5. Terrible gas mileage. Being powered by a naturally aspirated V8 motor coupled with an old-school torque converter automatic transmission with a standard 4WD drivetrain, the 2022 Toyota Sequoia TRD Pro is going to disappoint the buyers who want an efficient daily driver. With 13 mpg in the city and 17 mpg on the highway, the Sequoia TRD Pro can surely be considered a gas hog. In comparison, the rivals like the Chevrolet Tahoe Z71 and the GMC Yukon AT4 gave out a combined gas mileage of 18 mpg, which is 4 mpg better than the Sequoia TRD Pro. Nevertheless, the Toyota offers the biggest fuel tank capacity of 26.4 gallons, helping the car achieve 449 miles of tank range on the highways. 4. Not the best in terms of refinement. The refinement level of the 2022 Toyota Sequoia TRD Pro is pretty truck-like, and the passengers are not going to enjoy the traveling experience. The wind noise and road noise that creeps into the cabin are much higher than the rivals of the segment. The V8 motor is also a bit clattery, especially at the higher reverend range. One of the other issues we noticed with the 2022 Toyota Sequoia TRD Pro is the high rattling noise from the cabin, especially when driven through broken roads or off-road. It feels like every nut and bolt needs a bit of tightening as it feels a bit loose. The refinement level seems up there with the pickup truck and cannot be matched with the premium offerings of the segment. 3. Brakes have decent bite. The braking hardware remains unchanged and comes with the same 13.9 front rotors and 13.6 rear rotors. This helps the Sequoia TRD Pro to come out with precise braking, even when needing fast braking from a high speed. We found the initial bite to be quite good, and the brake fade was pretty minimal too. However, the brakes felt a bit wooden and lacked feedback like some of the rivals. Nevertheless, the car could stop on a dime when such a condition arises, and the heavy curb weight of 5,985 pounds doesn't affect the braking. The front-end dive is much lower than expected, especially for a front-heavy SUV. The ABS intrusion is minimal too. 2. Infotainment is bare bones. The 7 inches touchscreen infotainment system is pretty basic, and the infotainment experience is nothing to write home about. The user interface feels a bit archaic, with small touch buttons and laggy inputs. The animations are not smooth too. Even the display quality is mediocre at best. Nevertheless, this infotainment comes with all the required connectivity and entertainment features like Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, SiriusXM Radio, Toyota Connected Services, and many more. The 14-speaker JBL audio system has punchy lows and clear vocals, making it quite good even for the audiophiles. 1. Ride quality is a bit jittery. Even though the 2022 Toyota Sequoia TRD Pro is based on the Toyota Tundra pickup truck platform, Toyota has managed to put in some efforts to make the ride quality livable. This includes the modern rear suspension, which is a double wishbone setup with coil springs instead of a leaf spring setup. However, the ride quality is still not comparable to the comfort levels of the rivals. At slower speeds, the 2022 Toyota Sequoia TRD Pro doesn't absorb all the potholes very easily, making it pretty uncomfortable to travel in. Even when driving at highway speeds, there is a constant vertical movement, which many wouldn't like. This makes the passengers dizzy as well. The constant rattling from the cabin is another major downgrade of this SUV. Overall, the Ford Expedition Limited offers the best-in-class ride quality, which is followed by the GMC Yukon AT4 and the Chevrolet Tahoe Z71.